On the Eastern Front, nights were long, cold, and merciless. Men tried to sleep, but most couldn't. Something in the darkness felt wrong. Some said the wind made strange sounds, not howling, not whistling, something softer. A rustle high above the camps, too faint to be artillery, too steady to be imagination. Veterans swore the night itself carried something that came without warning and vanished without a trace. Into the black sky. Night. Silence. The front lines of the Eastern Front stretching like a scar across the world. It is 1942. The Soviet Union is burning. Cities fallen, villages erased. Millions dead. German forces push deeper and deeper into Soviet territory. At night, soldiers rest, if they can. They stare into the darkness, listening, waiting for the next attack. And sometimes, if the wind is right, they hear something. A hiss, a whisper, a soft, eerie rustling like a broom sweeping through the sky. Then the bombs fall. The Germans look up, but the sky is empty. Just darkness, just silence. No engines, no lights, no shadows. Only the terror of an enemy they cannot see. And from that terror, a name is born. The Night Witches. The Regiment of Shadows. They were the 588th Night Bomber Regiment, the only all-female combat aviation unit of the Second World War. Every pilot, navigator, mechanic, and officer, a woman. Many were barely 20 years old. Some were teenagers. Some had never even driven a car before the war. And yet, they would become one of the most feared units on the Eastern Front. They flew without radios, without parachutes, without armor, in wooden biplanes covered in canvas, aircraft that belonged in museums, not battlefields. But they flew them anyway, night after night, mission after mission, into darkness, fire, and death. And the Germans learned to fear that sound, that soft, rushing noise in the sky, more than any bomber the Soviets ever built. Wings made of wood. Their airplane was the Polikarpov PO-2, a relic, a toy, a machine so simple that mechanics could repair it with a hammer and nails. It had no armor, no modern instruments, no protection against bullets. Its top speed was so slow that German fighter planes actually stalled trying to chase it. The PO-2 was made of wood and cloth. A spark could ignite it. A burst of machine gun fire could tear it apart. But it had one gift, a gift that made it perfect for the witches of the night. It could glide, silent, invisible, deadly. And when the women cut their engines above a target and slipped through the clouds like a falling leaf, the Germans said they sounded like witches flying on broomsticks. Nachthexen, the Night Witches. Forged by fire. The story begins with one woman, Marina Raskova, the Soviet Amelia Earhart, a national hero, a record-breaking pilot, a symbol of strength. When the German invasion began, women begged to join the Air Force. They wrote letters, they pleaded, they demanded to fight. Raskova listened, and she convinced Stalin to create 3 all-female aviation regiments. One of them would become legend, the 588. Young women arrived at the base with school dresses and braided hair. They were given oversized men's uniforms, belts tied 3 times around their waists, sleeves rolled to the elbows. They were handed rifles they could barely lift, tents with no heat, food fit for prisoners. But they trained. They learned to fly at night, to navigate by stars, to drop bombs from open cockpits while freezing air ripped at their faces. They learned to fight. They learned to kill. And in time, they learned to make the darkness their ally. Into the night. A Night Witch's mission was a ritual of danger. 3 planes flew together. 2 approached the target first, drawing attention, drawing searchlights, drawing fire. Once the Germans aimed every gun at the decoys, the 3rd plane cut its engine. Silence. Just wind, just darkness, just the whisper of death in the sky. The plane glided downward, low, slow, invisible. At the last second, the pilot would pull a lever and bombs would fall, drifting silently into enemy camps, ammunition stores, or supply lines. Then the pilot restarted the engine, if she could, and escaped into the night before the Germans could find her. And then they did it again. 6 missions, 8 missions, sometimes 18 missions in a single night. No rest, no mercy, just the endless rhythm of takeoff, glide, drop, return. Darkness became their home. Fear became their companion. Death became their shadow. Faces in the dark. Their most famous pilot was Nadezhda Popova, a woman who laughed at danger, who once returned from a mission with 118 bullet holes in her plane and calmly prepared for the next flight. Another was Yevdokia Bershanskaya, their commanding officer. Strict, calm, unbreakable, a mother to her regiment. Others came from farms, some from universities, some from small villages lost in the vastness of the Soviet steppe. All of them became warriors. All of them became witches. The German fear. German soldiers hated them, feared them, cursed them. They said the witches didn't fight like normal pilots. They appeared out of nowhere. They dropped bombs that ignited the night. They vanished back into the stars before anyone could shoot them down. Some claimed they could see their pale faces in the moonlight. Some said the witches' eyes glowed green. Others insisted their planes made no shadow. Superstition grew. Rumors spread. One German officer wrote,
"The Russian women attack at night. They glide silently. We hear only the wind before the bombs fall. They are not human. They are witches."
The soldiers believed it so strongly that the Luftwaffe eventually put a bounty on any pilot who shot one down. But catching them? That was another matter. To hit a PO-2, a German fighter had to slow down so much that its engine nearly stalled. Pilots lost control and crashed trying to chase them. The witches flew too low, too slow, too close to the ground, and too close to death. Fire in the sky. Not all of them survived. Searchlights would catch a plane. Anti-aircraft guns would roar. Wooden wings would burst into flame. Bodies would fall through the night like dying stars. When a sister was lost, the regiment would fly the next night, and the next, with more fury than ever. They buried their dead with honor. They painted broomsticks on their planes. Some even wore black scarves as jokes. They took the insult, witches, and made it a badge of pride. The turning tide. By 1943, the Night Witches had become a nightmare for the Wehrmacht. They bombed supply depots, destroyed bridges, burned fuel stores, cut off reinforcements, harassed troops so relentlessly that some German units refused to travel at night. Their missions helped the Soviets hold the line at Stalingrad, helped push the Germans back across the Don, helped free the Caucasus. Every night, Po-2 engines hummed across the sky. Every night, bombs fell like whispers. By war's end, the Night Witches flew over 30,000 missions, more than any other Soviet bomber regiment. 23 of them were named Heroes of the Soviet Union, the highest honor their nation could give. And when victory finally came, the witches disappeared, like shadows, like ghosts, like the sound of a broom sweeping through the night. Echoes in the silence. Decades have passed. The war is gone. The front lines are quiet. The forests have grown back over the ruined fields. But sometimes, on a still night, pilots flying across Russia claim to hear something below them. Not engines, not machines. A rustling, a whisper, a soft, eerie susurration, like feathers on wood, like cloth wings gliding on wind, like witches riding the night sky. And some swear they see them, 3 tiny specks drifting across the moon. 2 decoys, 1 silent, falling like a shadow toward an unseen target. Maybe it's just imagination. Maybe it's just wind. Or maybe the sky remembers the women who once owned the darkness. The Night Witches, the daughters of midnight, the ghosts of war. This is Ghosts of War. Join us next time as we uncover another unexplained battle, lost army, or legend of war. The past awaits its story.